Alright, getting ready to go live in a few seconds here. Oh, it's so good to be back in the studio. There we go. What's up, Hacksters? Welcome to Tuesday. I have been playing around with the Adafruit clue since yesterday. I did an intro to this, so if you missed that, go check out yesterday's broadcast. It's called Adafruit's New Clue, as you might guess. And this is a really cool new board from Adafruit that's basically a super-powered microbit. If you're not familiar, that is a really cool sort of kid and beginner-friendly board from the BBC in collaboration with a bunch of tech companies. Only this one has things like color sensing and gesture and proximity sensing and this little display instead of your 5x5 red LED grid. So it's very cool. What I've been trying to do is combine it with this environmental combo sensing breakout from SparkFun, because I thought it'd be cool to try and play around with the Qwiic connector and see if I can get that working and display the results on the TFT LCD screen that is built into the clue. I'm happy to say that it's actually working, so I'm going to show you that really quick, just in case, by bringing up a bunch of other stuff. And we're going to run through a few sketches today, in case any of those, you never know when it's going to decide to break on you. So right now, what we've got here is, I'm going to put this back, and it's weird because it's hard to get the screen to show up nicely on a camera. So here's the environmental combo sensor, CCS811, which is the one that we're actually using, which gives us CO2, and tVOC, aka total volatile organic compounds, which are things that could be dangerous for you in the air. And it also has a BME 280 sensor, which is good for altitude and humidity and things like, or pressure, I think, and things like that. Oh, can I get this to stay again? Gotta make sure that, because what I'm gonna do is show you the Arduino code alongside the board and try to make it so I can show you both of those at once. Okay, there we go. So, first up, well, let's look at the Adafruit guides first. We've got, I was following their guide to hook up this thing with Arduino, because ordinarily I would try and use CircuitPython. However, I have this guide for the environmental combo, the breakout hookup guide on SparkFun, and that gives it to you in Arduino code. So since this board is very versatile, you can use either one, CircuitPython or the Arduino IDE, and I decided to just mash those up together. So I'm using the Arduino support setup guide. And there's a few libraries you need to install. You need to make sure that the board's manager knows where to find this board. It's called the Adafruit Clue. A little weird thing about this board, this tutorial actually, is that it pulls in, even though it has its own unique URL up here that says Adafruit Clue in it, for some reason there's a bunch of leftover information for playing around with the blue fruits, which may use this, like the Bluefruit NRF52 feather boards, which this clue uses the NRF52840. I'm not sure why this is included, maybe an earlier version or a later version of the clue uses a different chip or something, but it can be kind of confusing. So you can just ignore most of this stuff because you're really just going to be selecting this third one here, which is Tools, Board, Adafruit Clue. It's very simple. There's only one version. I don't get it. But okay. Anyway, also my port on Mac does not require this slab USB to UART adapter thingy that I sometimes do need for other boards. It just shows up as /dev/cu.usb serial, and there are a bunch of numbers, and then, as a normal Arduino would, honestly, for me. So then I didn't have to install any extra drivers, I think, and this is, again, it says it's for the 32 chip, and I'm using the 40 IDK. Anyway, so they tell you about the Arcata libraries, and after installing the libraries for Arcata, I was able to pull up some of the examples from that folder. So for example, this Mandelbrot example is in the Arcata libraries as an example. I went to Arduino, File, It's being a little slow with the menus here because I'm trying to do a lot of stuff with my computer at once right now, and I don't blame it for being slow. Oh no, this has been happening a lot. I thought I was free of this finally, but I am doing a lot on here. So let's see. Okay, so we've got File, Examples, Adafruit Arcade Library, Full Board no wait, not Full Board Tests. Where's Mandelbrot? Oh yeah, it's just under the Adafruit Arcade Library Examples folder, and it's called Mandelbrot, and you get this cool little, well, I'll let you see for yourself. Compiling sketch. And uploading. And nearly there. Device programming, done uploading. Ah, there we go. Here's a little gorgeous Mandelbrot set fractal for your viewing enjoyment. It's very cool. I could even see using something like this and then coloring it in a custom way, or like adapting it to show real time some data in a kind of hidden but cool looking way. I think that'd be neat. I can't think immediately of how to do that, but you know, if you have an artistic bent, why not? So the next thing that I loaded up was the Adafruit clue test. Arcade clue test. Here we go. This is a test for the board. It's what the board comes loaded with, or it came loaded with in my case. It sort of takes a look at all the different sensors and stuff. You can see it pulling up those libraries, and yeah, it displays them on the screen. Actually, I might not have this BMP281 installed, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, and it's just going to it keeps zooming in through the Mandelbrot fractal as long as you have it loaded, which is kind of cool. So we're compiling this one, uploading it. I'll scroll a little bit through here so you can see what it's doing. So you're checking for all these things. Got, you know, all the different, hey, here we go. Yeah, so it says file system not found. Apparently that's not a huge deal because it's still showing me a bunch of stuff. You've got the temperature reading, which was for some reason at 0. I'm guessing because it can't read that BMP280 sensor for some reason. The barometric pressure, it can't really see. Humidity, it can. Light, if I cover this up, light goes way down. And it goes back up again. How's the focus on that? Yeah, it's pretty good. Again, light way down. Light goes back up again. The accelerometer, gyroscope, and magnetometer. If I move this around, those numbers will move. And every time I talk, you can see that the mic goes a little bit higher. Boop! Beep-doop! Beep-doop-beep-doop-beep-doop-beep-doop. Yeah, anyway. You yell at it and the mic value goes up. I'm not surprised. No one is surprised by this. Anyway, so the next thing that I looked up was the SparkFun example for the CCS 811 basic readings, for the CCS 811 chip that's on the breakout here that allows us to check out what's going on with the CO2 and tVOCs. So as you can see, this was sort of written by Marshall Taylor and Nate Seidel in 2017. You can find the links to it there. You can also just look at the links in the description of this video. I've linked to all these pages that provide all this wonderful information for you. I looked at this. It's very short and easy. I love it. Oh, it's so easy. It makes me so happy when things just kind of work out. I'm happy to say that this was an extremely easy code mashup. All I decided to do was basically mash up this code, this code, with the Arcade clue test that we just looked at. And this one, if I upload it, it's not really going to show you anything. The screen on the clue is going to freeze because it won't be doing anything. What this sketch does is it just displays the information, the readings, to the serial monitor, and it does that very nicely. It was simple as pie. Yeah, you just make sure that your serial monitor is set to 115/200, and you're good to go. Yeah, it's really easy. So I'm not going to upload this one because, again, I don't feel like pulling up the whole serial monitor and everything, and the screen on this thing would just freeze, honestly. But I will show you what happens when we mash the two of them up together. So now I'm uploading the result, which is the Ada air quality sketch that I made. It just literally takes what we just looked at. Here's the Adafruit stuff. Here's the SparkFun stuff. Here's another Adafruit piece. Here's more SparkFun stuff for the breakout. More Adafruit stuff for the board itself. Here's more stuff for the SparkFun sensor. This is just pulled directly from the SparkFun example. I'll tell you a little bit about the changes that I made in the end, but let's see, I think it says it's programmed. So yep, now we have all those readings in one place. I took off a couple of lines from the top from the Adafruit example because we don't really need them, and the nice thing about the Adafruit code is that those are both listed in the serial monitor anyway, so I can pull up the serial monitor and take a look and see if the file system is found or whatever anyway. I don't need it to be displayed on the screen, that's just a nice example. So what happens now is that the CO2 usually stabilizes around 400 parts per million. I think that's like its floor, and the tVOCs usually end up stabilizing around 0. Now that I've been talking for a while, it's probably going to go up. So it's stabilizing around 425, stabilizing. And now if I breathe on it, it goes way up! Both those values, if you can see the CO2 value and the tVOC line up there, these do match what I was getting out of the SparkFun sketch, which makes perfect sense. And they're displaying nicely. I just had to move the cursor up a little bit. I'll be putting this code up on Hackster. And it's just a really nice, easy integration. Setting up this Qwiic sensor and its example code with the Qwiic example code. It's so easy. And what I'd like to do next is make maybe a plot. That could be cool. I could see if I'm like breathing in and out on a good schedule. I could make it so that it looks prettier and maybe the values that I'm especially interested in are displayed more larger. Pardon. Let's take a quick scroll through the rest of this code. It does a little bit of diagnostics and begins the display. It sets the cursor to 0, 0 at the start. That's what it's doing to put those system messages at the top. And then further after it does all that, this is all the setup stuff, so you're just checking to make sure whether the sensors are found. And then down here in the loop, you start the cursor. This was set to 100 to accommodate those multiple lines of system data at the start. And since I took those out to make more room for the air quality information, I had to change that to 50, and that's a nice spot to put that. Here's where I threw in the stuff from the SparkFun sketch. Every time it refreshes, it just checks the air sensor, and then it was so easy to just replace, this sht30.read humidity with air sensor.get CO2 from the other sketch. I did change in the SparkFun's original example sketch. It was called My Sensor, which wasn't very specific. So in this case, it makes that a little bit more clear. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's about all I did. I actually took notes while I was making this, and it amounted to about 3 lines of notes about changes that I made while I was munging these two sketches together. It's really simple. Yeah, so this is really nice and easy to work with. Beautiful. So there we have it, a really easy, functional little air data sensor. This gives you the CO2, the carbon dioxide rather, and the total volatile organic compounds. A little bit more about those before we close up. What are tVOCs? This is from a site called airthings.com. They sell some kind of IoT air quality sensors. And okay, so those are a combination of gases and odors emitted from many different toxins and chemicals found in everyday products. They can cause serious health effects in both the short and long term. depending on which ones they are, I'm sure. Things like paint fumes, and yeah, especially indoors, those can be important. So they come from things like paints and varnishes, wax and cosmetics, cleaning and hobby products, and even cooking and human breath. Oh, you know what? I'm really curious. I have some markers, and I have some, what if I just like put a Sharpie near this thing? I'm gonna try not to like mark on it, but like if I sort of, oh, look at that! Sensor's going wild. How can I get these both on the screen? There we go. Yeah, I just put this Sharpie near this, and it's just like completely freaking out. Wow. I guess it works. Let's go find something else. I've got some nail polish for coloring laser cuts, of course, where you like laser etch something with a piece of paper on top, and then you nail varnish over it, let it dry, then you peel the paper off, and then you have a really beautifully embossed design. One sec. Let's try these. Here's like a gold water paint marker. Okay, where are we at? About 0 parts per billion of tVOCs. Oh, yeah. And CO2 is measured in parts per million. tVOCs are in parts per billion. Either way, it's not very happy. What about this Revlon nail color? Again, the colors on the screen are a little weird. Sorry, that's just because getting the display to show up nicely is hard. Oh, man. It's taking a while, I guess, for that to dissipate. That's kind of an interesting lesson in how long it takes that stuff to go away. Yeah, and the nail varnish isn't happy with either. Cool. I'm not really either. It smells. What if I blow the air away? That's not really going to help because it's fumey over here too. Anyway, so that clearly works. That's pretty neat. I'm excited to play around more with this sensor. So we just learned what volatile organic compounds in the air are. Candles and fires, fragrances, new furniture, cooking fumes, cleaning products, craft products, glues, paints and varnishes, children's toys. Some hard plastics contain formaldehyde. You know, the term toxins is kind of unscientific and, you know, it doesn't really mean anything, but it's still useful to be able to sense things like this. And when it comes to actual air quality, there is a thing called AQI, the Air Quality Index. Unfortunately, when I looked this up, so I thought that this air sensor would be like CO2 and tVOCs. You'd think that that would be part of air quality, right? Well, it turns out that they're not. Turns out that it's calculated by ozone, by whatever, particles, particulate matter, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen dioxide. So these are the factors that go into an air quality index reading. And if you're curious about the air quality in your area, I learned about this during some of the California fires. There is a website suggested by one of my old friends called airnow.gov, and they'll give you information on your local area. So say that I wanted to look at well, our office is in, oh, you can just click on it. Cool. Nice. Can I do this? And it gives you a very localized look at your whole area. What if I go down to San Francisco? I can also put in my zip code. And we get a much more local look at it. And current conditions are good! Hooray! I've actually never looked at this when it was good, because it's always when, like, fires are happening that I check it. But yeah, if you're curious, airnow.gov is a good resource. There's also this AQI calculator for specific pollutants, and you can figure out what a specific AQI means. So say that, like, if the AQI is 31. What does that mean? It means that concentration is about 2.7 parts per million, and that's good. I wonder why the baseline of this sensor is 400. Oh, duh, this is carbon monoxide again. Well, anyway, I would still be curious to see what all that means. I am in kind of an enclosed space all day, so I imagine the carbon dioxide builds up. It does, in fact, build up in closed meeting rooms, so if you've been in a long meeting, that's a great excuse to get out of it and just be like, we're getting stupider the longer we're sitting here, because it's true. So, you could mount one of these CO2 sensors on your wall and just be like, hey, we gotta get out of here, let's cut this meeting short, because otherwise we're not gonna get anything done. Anyway, yeah, so the clue, the meeting ender, there you go. You could even just have the screen turn gradually redder as the CO2 builds up over the course of the meeting. Oh, I've got to do that. Fortunately, I don't have a lot of in-person meetings. More on that later, but yeah. I think we covered everything. What a cool... I've decided to start doing videos once everything's actually working. So that helps. Check out the links in the description of this video for any of this information that I've just talked about. I think it's fascinating, and I'm excited to keep sensing what's going on in our atmosphere. The other cool thing about this board is that you can, in fact, plug in a lithium polymer battery because it can tolerate up to 6 volts. Hooray! And so I can just stick this anywhere, or on my bike, or whatever. Yes! I love it. So, stay healthy out there, and we will see you soon. Hack on!